We're on T side, mid control is really safe to take as a terrorist, right? So we see teams doing that quite often because on 3-lane maps like Cash and Mirage, mid control is almost everything. Here it's going to be a pistol round where we got 3 Palace. What I always like to see, and Heroic maybe potentially want to try to push CT. I'm not sure exactly where the smoke is going to land. It looks like they're going to have 2 on the right side of site.
Executing forward, it's Nafly to get it started. Naf finding a second one as well here as it's already a 2-man advantage, but the bomb going to be trying to go down as CT does fall. Nafly, he's all over this pistol round, but Freeze brings it back with 1 headshot, leaving Madi 1v3. Already they're all around in multiple directions. It's too much to handle, and OpTic coming not only off the back of the first win, finding this pistol, you can see them, they're fired up.
You know, NAF is not the end. It's not the end of the day if NAF dies first in that situation, but we don't even get to see the round be competitive if they aren't able to deal with CT. The way the smokes were laid out and sectioning off the map, the whole deal is to clear out everybody on the site, which is not common to play on site as a pistoler, and then to try to push CT and get control of it, and from there have to deal with a retake. But NAF going above and beyond, getting 3 kills and showing us his value as a CT player. Typically, that's a place where you want to have just your straight up best aimer or someone very comfortable with those angles because they need to either stay alive or frag out like he did.
Coming into this one, Heroic rapidly congregating in towards the apartments. That smoke grenade going to be indicative of their presence. Naf, yet again, changes up positioning, so he is on the receiving end of affairs as the flashbangs rain on through. Valde leading the charge with the Tech 9 to the flashed opponents nearby. Opening frag for Snappy, T-side finding success, but Naf still sneakily holding the position, does drop. It's 2 CTs still standing. Heroic have brought this back.
Yeah, this is all but lost at this point. Stanislaw, however, very patient, dodging a flash, but Snappy killing the only other chance they had to win this round. Now Stan with his position. Node is just going to get straight up headshotted by Valde. What an insane round by Heroic. I think it was completely clear exactly what they wanted to try to do, and yet even with 2 people in the site, got overrun and overwhelmed.
I think that was a fantastic execution with all of that utility. You saw the smoke grenade in the center, fire, flashes, all sorts of just great stuff that allowed them to really kind of push in super dynamic ways around the sides of the pillars, over towards Van, really just overwhelmed them so quickly and do deny OpTic the conversion point. So that one has to hurt coming off of it, and we do see OpTic transition into what is a light buy.
Yeah, it's a big momentum and confidence stealer, and there's actually somewhat of a fake here being pulled off, but Tarek only sees 2 people, doesn't spot a bomb. However, the rotates have come out, and I'm not sure if what he saw was called, but Heroic have successfully earned themselves a site without having to take a confrontational fight.
Now Nico up close and personal, dropping to the 5-7 of Rush, who retrieves himself the M4, but not in time to dodge Snappy. Mixwell's Deagle dealing damage, but not finding frags as Tarek brings it back by 1. We do have a 3v2. The M4, though, picked up once again. Naf over towards Cat, nearly finds the frag. Valde saving it, though, and he swings it back. Madi clears up shop, never saw that one coming, and that one, although it does go the way of Heroic, could have been closer. 2 of those players only had a smidgen of health left.
Yeah, you got to think if Naf gets this frag, who knows what happens at that point, but we cannot go back and replay that round with different circumstances. OpTic can't either. With they can't go back. They can't reflect. They can't spend too much time reflecting on that. Excuse me. They've just got to move forward, and unfortunately, moving forward in this round means doing it without any weaponry whatsoever. Actually, Tarek has picked up a P250, just a small upgrade. USP is much better than Glocks, however. It's not absolutely necessary that you upgrade them, and it looks like the walkout is commencing the A site. They will find soon that has no players holding it down.
Although OpTic are close by, they're going to be starting to move themselves up from connector. Freeze spotting this confirms, and Snappy fires away to take a frag apiece. Still, OpTic close, but for the Molotov pushing them back, these rounds just rattling through. They're getting bodied here.
Yep, body bags for sure. 2 players left. They've both been spotted, I feel, and now it's just Naf. The lone man with the silenced pistol. At the most, he wants to hold for an exit, but you know, a smart T team, they're going to exit the same way, and after spotting all of those players coming through connector, have opted to go for a different exit. And let's see.
Madi nearly finds himself some damage, but instead he takes the frag. Nafly out of the equation, and there it is. Heroic convert their 3 points following that pistol round from OpTic, but it's a bye. We're back to the meat of the taters of the segment, the good stuff, Mohan.
Yes, the first rifle round of the half. It's going to be very telling and also very important for OpTic because this is a 2-for-1 for them. However, for Heroic, if they win this, well, then they have another opportunity to just build on this bank that they've already built up quite high. So what's going to happen? 2 players on the site. Nobody is making an aggressive move, and it seems like we've got Heroic posturing for mid control, or actually just what seems like is going to be a fast A split.
Naf is wondering what's going on down below, but as you said, they're on the top of mid, trying to get themselves up. Of course, there is no op on the side of Heroic, nor is there one for OpTic. Stan firing off, finds himself the opener. They're going to use the Molotov. That's going to burn him out. The smoke grenade, though, giving him a chance to stay in the corner. He's dodged these bullets with ease. That's a great bit of utility there to counter the initiative from Heroic.
Now, with that first kill getting traded favorably for the CTs, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board, it seems like. And this is really the testament of a really good team, is when you do not get away with what you wanted to out of spawn, you don't get that initial pick. Well, what's your adjustment going to be? Adaptation is a critical component of playing at the tier 1 level. So Nafly going to be spotting a couple players in connector. Some nice careful shooting and a second headshot to basically seal up the round. Mixwell getting a kill, and now it's just Freeze all alone, re-aggressing mid. And I'm not sure if he's going to be fully aware of Snaf being here, but another dink coming out, and you got to be worried about Naf in the future, as he has just been so proficient in these last few rounds.
Speaking of headshots, Tarek closes it up, finds himself one last one to seal the deal. In OpTic's first gun round, they put it on the board. That's exactly what they needed. And with convincing fashion on top of it. I mean, just great marksmanship from Naf on the side of Catwalk. Those are just great headshots with that M4. And then, of course, it synchronizes up with the push on ramp as well. So they shut down 2 directions simultaneously. That completely just obliterates Heroic's push.
OpTic are going to be in tune with the fact that Heroic are going to have a full buy coming out of this round. And here it's going to be a little bit less inconspicuous. More safe options being taken. The walkout at mid didn't work out. And that's the counter molly to make sure that no one can get top boxes. However, the molly's not going to last as long as the smoke. And all it really does is shy terrorists back for a few moments. And with no CTs aggressing mid, there's really no way to put further pressure. And so we're at kind of a stalemate. And even though that molly wouldn't have lasted forever, we haven't had anyone cross the boxes. So it's still a guessing game for both the CTs and the Ts. And now it's Freeze to try to get a free frag if possible. It looks like there's an aggression on Cat. I'm not sure if he's going to walk into anybody. But with rifle support is Naf, Mix, and Stan.
The synchronization is disturbing. That was awesome for OpTic, but Valde does still find himself behind the firebox, rattling rounds. He grabs 1 and 2. It's brought back slightly. This is still possible, as Madi will find himself in possession of the bomb, but OpTic still with 2 players nearby. You will be able to fall on back. Excellently done. Looking to re-engage over towards the A site, where Valde has found 2 frags and a lot of space to play with.
Highly winnable round at this moment, and I don't know if Mixwell's going to get caught off guard here. Looks like not. Right into his crosshairs, and now Madi alone has the bomb and has the ability to catch at least one person off guard potentially, but also has to be the person to find him. And there it is, Mixwell. Really worried about Connector for some reason, even though he has 2 people up on Cat. I don't think that should have been his #1 priority. However, the bomb goes down, and now it's a 1v2.
With the fire there, he's going to get the cross. Behind the triple stack he goes, cautious of the fact that someone could be CT, but both players coming in from the staircase now. Madi peeking wide, tries to take the 1v1, deals damage to Tarek, but it's just not enough. And that will be the round for OpTic, tying it up at 3 here. How do you feel about Valde pushing in towards jungle when his teammate was rotating through T-spawn? He knew the bomb was inbound. Obviously, he created enough space to push up towards Connector, and if he was worried with the Molotov of Connector, imagine if Valde was still there to confirm it was open.
Yeah, so it's a 2v3, right? And so Valde is looking to try to even it up, and he's also making a read in a situation where they're at a disadvantage, and he had the option to try to push CT, but I think the way that he saw it was that was more of a heads-on fight, and because there were 3 CTs left, there was either someone not in jungle whatsoever and his ability to flank maybe somebody in CT, or he could have decided to go CT and try to, or just hold down that angle and force the CTs to stay back. But either way, it would have been difficult.
This is a quick round though. Madi already finding himself out towards the A site. Freeze as well as he finds the frag, and Mix brings it back by 1. 3 players here by the jungle to the avail of OpTic. Across the kill feed, 4v2. This A site has been stopped. Tarek from the top of the ticket booth taking down another, but it will be Mixwell to find the last, and another convincing round despite losing a few players.
Yeah, I want to say absolutely fantastic Molotov pressure on the site. I mean, it really put a Rush in a tough spot, and I'm sure got in his own head about whether or not he could stand in the places that he wanted to. And from there was just kills over the corners of smokes. I mean, 2 people pushing in through jungle means, and I don't think they had a proper assisting flash because our player at the bottom of stairs wasn't blind. So if that were the case, maybe he would have been involved, would have been able to get the kill. But they were, it seemed like playing it by ear in the sense that they're like, all right, well, let's just push right now, and took the opportunity to get in there. And I feel like the reason that they do that is because players on the other side of the smoke, not anticipating some really aggressive pressure like that, would just maybe have the consider pulling out a nade, right, to throw on the site, and that's when it gets ugly. But all of OpTic were super aware of the fact that that was a potential possibility, kept their guns out, and won the round because of it.
Now moving forward, obviously, we saw that B site hit work really well when they had the Tech 9s and all that nade usage. Do you think that could be a viability for the side of Heroic moving forward? Because, I mean, NAF is playing this forward catwalk position. We've seen them try to triangulate towards mid, and when you know those players are at least using positioning towards that middle, it makes those sudden B hits a little bit more viable, no?
Certainly, yeah. It's a kind of an untapped gold mine. The issue is that if Heroic had won a round maybe with another quick strategy on the other side of the map, OpTic wouldn't be so probably wouldn't be so keen at this point and thinking, all right, now they've got to go back to that, right? And so that's the pressure being put on Heroic's minds. Like, yeah, we have a strategy that works, and they don't know that they can beat it yet, even while having 2 players dedicated to B. But if we do it again, are they going to be really ready this time? Is this the time that this will be a curveball? And you always want your strategy to be going towards a site that you think is being underplayed, or just not being watched carefully, or with a weaker player. And I'm not sure that all those boxes are checked right now. But it's certainly something that they have in their back pocket, and they're just waiting for the correct opportunity to try it again.
We are back into this one with Heroic on pistols. They're not going to be looking too strong here in round number 8. OpTic potentially finding a 5th with ease. They've got themselves an MP9 on rush. Potential cash flow to be made here. Naf playing the 1-op, gets aggressive towards apartments, and it pans out superbly. Great opening frag from him. Yeah,
and there we had it. 3 people going out to B just to, in case the initial B rush came out, would have been ready for it. So might have been an option for Heroic, but could have potentially bit them in the butt. And I don't know. Miko just wants that Deeg. Fair bit of equipment value. And again, no utility to try to do something together, but are going to try to make something happen individually. And there's really no shame in that. Mixwell, NAF winning their fights coordinatedly so, but look at that. Snappy coming out with the Tech 9 entry, and will they be able to recover this op? I mean, Tarek's going to try to go for it. The movement is good, I think. He must have had time. And
should have. Yeah. So that's nice. Obviously, they had the 1 MP9 to expend, and if they get that out of the board, then it's a complete free round for OpTic, essentially. Again, just nice anti-eco, right? Those are the rounds you absolutely have to win. We've seen games already here at Northern Arena being thrown by kind of those unexpected pushes, and this time it's not. So greatly done to OpTic Gaming, hitting themselves onto number 5, finding that early lead, but it will be the buy down from Heroic in response. The MP9 still in play. Keep that in mind as Stan opens up shop. Rush as well to the top of mid, aggressively moving forward, traded back by Mixwell. That's a great opening off of an aggressive push.
Yeah, he's pretty much just suppressing fire while his teammates like, I'll trade this kill 100%. They maintain a man advantage, and all they lose is an MP9 for their troubles. And now Heroic are on the back foot, and the round has barely started. They've got to decide what they want to do, and they don't have any map control to work with. Going really good so far for OpTic.
Presence being taken here towards the top of mid. Madi just rattling off some rounds, looking to connect a shot through the smoke, but we don't have the counter-terrorists with any kind of forward positioning. They've taken their risks. It's worked out well. They don't need to peek, especially while Stanislaw is on the big flank here. He could come up massive right now if he hits the timing right. You can see Heroic still just pushing themselves slowly throughout the map. So if he picks up the pace a little, he could definitely catch them off guard.
Yeah, there's always that potential chance for that to happen. It seems just like, wow, OpTic are just everywhere, right? Even in these situations where they're ahead, they're not letting anything get by them. I mean, Heroic are just trying to set up, and they're getting right in their faces. I mean, I think we saw Stanislaw go top mid and then end up flanking mid in the same round. There's Mixwell, another clean kill, and Heroic, man, they are a team that is quite good at Mirage. I mean, when in their former lineup, or I'd say excellent at it, and I think invented a lot of strategies that other teams had used. But now here on the T side, are starting to fall short.
Well, that's the thing, right? You just said they've got those strategies. They have them in their playbook, and we can see them trying to set those plays. But this is the OpTic we didn't see on Cash. The CT-sidedness that just gets in your face, that'll go for big plays, multiple flanks and around from different directions. It's just those big heads-up moments that really do create a lot of space and these early advantages for free. Of course, can Heroic deal with that? Can they set their strategies when that is a personal issue, right? It's tough so far, and they have struggled. 6-3 is the scoreline. Mixwell inside a connector, caught with an 8 in hand, but he sprays wildly and survives until Nico does connect it. A 5 versus 4, a bit of an opening, but still remember, of course, they do only have these pistols.
Wow, Stanislaw getting super aggressive right now, and Tarek also getting a kill, and I think they just wanted to wait out these smokes so they could go with that A hit. Stanislaw going 1 for 1 in connector. 3 people are up on the A site. Rush is having pressure put on him from 2 different choke points, and because the other player fell off, Nico was able to get that kill on Rush while he was turned to his side.
Naf pulling ticket, but he's going to be flanked soon. Does he think of checking his back as Maudie rounds the corner? No. He's got the confirmation, but also the trigger discipline.
What was that?
My God! Wow! Just what a nut shot. Leaving Freeze. All he's got to do here is try to survive with 20 points of health. He is down and out. If that doesn't break your back, I don't know what does.
You said he had to check it, and you were wrong, but I can't hold it against you. Just reacting, turning, jumping, and no-scoping, you would have to assume his opponent in TT spawn. Wow. That is crazy stuff. And that's a 2v2. If he gets that kill,
huge.
he gets an op, he gets CT control, they have A. Ed.
Big play, Naf.
What does this kid eat for breakfast?
I don't know, but let's get ourselves a bowl of it. Valde on the top of mid, pushing forward. The Molotov going to push back Stan. So at least, again, utility making presence and a very rapid transition to the cat hit. Valde leaving the charge. Of course, now with the smoke, they've got to be cautious, but the flash connects to Mixwell, so they get this bit of space. Great shot from Stanislaw, but he can't follow it up. Nikolai finding the first, and Maudie taking down the second, leaves it to the 3v2, because suddenly it's immediately 2 frags found, and we do still have Maudie holding this man inside of Palace while his tag teammates get that bomb in and find their afterplant positions.
Tarek's going to be moving up from jungle, and not sure how aware Freeze is going to be of this potential flank. And instead, he's actually going to smoke him out, forcing his hand, and now moving into sight to find the other 2 opponents that he might have to deal with. Seems very clear that there is somebody in connector to have to go through, and he's actually moved up to the stairs, so Freeze may have 100% this round, but Nafly with 1 kill gets traded out by Maudie, and Heroic put it together, and what's really terrifying about that, it was the fact that OpTic had the appropriate setup for exactly what was about to happen to them. It was actually an A split with both A ramp and connector, and we had 3 people at A and 1 in Palace.
That's the big thing, right?
Yeah.
You have that man who's just not going to be able to let them synchronize, and for them to deal with that accordingly, greatly done. I think those afterplant positions were just so strong. A man deep in the side of ramp, behind ticket, and then also connector. You see the attention of OpTic being just stretched thin in all directions, and ultimately that is a round for Heroic. So number 4 is found. They are piecing together this T side. Let's be real. 4 rounds is not bad to shy away from, and there's still space here. So they've got weapons once again. They've got the op in the hands of Freeze. You can see them slowing it down, however, after watching that fast connector play in the previous one.
And now again with the default, this has not worked that often versus OpTic, but you could also say that even on the rounds that Heroic won, they have taken them relatively slowly, done nothing like an A-ramp run up in Mixwell, spotting a quick switcher in underpass, not able to punish him, but is maybe able to disincentivize him from coming out too quickly. Stanislaw now is just waiting for somebody to walk out mid like they have in the past, and last time I think we saw him be the victor of this fight, but here it is.
Freeze looking for the angle, finds it. Stanislaw, the first casualty of the round here, but it's brought back by no one other than Naf. Great cat play once again from him. He's been using this position quite well, and it's rush push forward underneath of Palace to prepare for the A split. That is what Heroic look to throw their direction. Can they hold it back? Tarek taking down another immediately forces their hand. Mixwell drops the bomb, so suddenly this push has been slowed.
That was I feel like a really heads-up play from Mixwell to just jump through that smoke into the help of his teammates, but Valda all of a sudden from the 2v3, and I'm not sure if they heard these footsteps, but they might actually just run right back into him as he's taken an aggressive angle, misses the first shot, one player is blind, and Valda gets the third kill. All three in the 3v2. What a play from Valda.
That was big. The Molotov obviously keeping him in the corner, tries to go back for the repeat. That was nice, because if Naf connects that first shot, he does have time to peek wide for the second, and it's dangerous, right? Naf, just great play, but obviously a bit too much to ask for, and Heroic hit 5. So this is still within just 2.
Yeah, it is within just 2, but Heroic winning this round, they've earned themselves a 2-for-1. And again, you got to think, OpTic definitely had a good advantage, but not only that, they had good positional play. Like, it wasn't just an extra man. They were able to all group up, have bomb in line of sight, and 2 players to just trade out one guy, but he was way too strong. The juggernaut of the round.
And the pistols, not going to be a nice look for OpTic.
Oh.
Double flashbangs, of course, so if they need to try and find some sort of an opening, just try to create a space and overwhelm, maybe they take a kill, maybe they just keep Heroic back, right? Obviously, they don't have their economic legs underneath them, so prevent that from ever happening. As we do hit round 13, there is still time, theoretically, for Heroic to take the lead.
Potential for it indeed. And we have OpTic just split up into what is a rifle default essentially, but with pistols. No one's even pushed for information. And you know, the more time that you see choke points being unchecked, like for example Palace or A ramp, then you see that the CTs could have been taking a little bit more risks to try to gather information in a situation where they're not going to win set up in a default. No armor to back them up either. And Naf lies in a spot that'll almost certainly get mollied out. There, I think we see posturing for it. And the one in tandem at the van to help him out.
Now here we go, T-side pushing forward, they're going to start clearing it. Mixwell does take one inside of mid, but it's just Heroic across the kill feed. All 5 frags, matter of seconds. Heroic sitting on 6.
Absolute slugfest between these two teams on both maps in both first halves. Of course, we saw OpTic kind of run away with it after surviving on cash, but this is definitely a whole different game. Not exactly sure what's going to happen from here. This is going to be another telling round. We saw Heroic win from a disadvantage in the mid round, but you can't always expect that, and I think that's exactly why we see OpTic with a round lead. But now they have the opportunity to try to learn from their mistakes and maybe take one a little bit more decisively.
Early utility expenditure does keep Heroic asking questions. They're not able to have an angle into any sites, no info found, but still spread thinly. I mean, they are waiting for pushes here. You can see the man playing from the back of Palace, Valde rotating out, even the mid, right? This is the kind of positions you pay when you're waiting for that push.
Mid control seems to be on the ducket once again. And the only thing that we haven't seen Heroic do is try to take this quickly. Sometimes the clock bleeds down. We've got a lot of time remaining in this one, however, and the default is obviously a posturing towards mid, but also towards B, and we haven't had players go underpass quite yet. So potential for a B split. Freeze taking a little bit more damage than I think he'd like, but has an op, and so it's still in the round.
Oh, Mixwell takes it. That's the bomb dropped as well. Freeze still with an op to respond, and Nikolai up close to the bottom of connector. Now we do have Mix hiding in the corner here, so he can swing wide and catch this player off guard. Nikolai using his own smoke to obscure the vision for Catwalk, but of course with Mix being on the other side, he knows it's clear. It's Naf to take down one, repositions, and he does drop Stanislaw out. 4 versus 2. There's another. It's Heroic with 3 quick frags, 2 versus 2 suddenly.
Just like that, we've got basically what could turn into a clutch situation. Bomb going down. Valda has to pick an angle to try to hold off. Freeze, the man who got hurt early on, still has an op. That's one-shot kill potential. And Mixwell expelling his grenades.
Freeze goes down to the fire. That's excellent utility usage. Valde's positioning, though, catches one off guard. Mixwell 1v1 with a flash in hand. Valde, less health, but 3 frags already in the round. Safely behind the cover, peeks wide and finds finds the headshot. Heroic with another round, and that one could have been a very quick loss. We did see OpTic with those first couple of kills, but then Heroic just find the response very quickly.
Did you see how in tune Valda was with how long Mixwell would take to peek that angle? Was fully aware that at a certain point he didn't make any noise, that he was going to walk up to that side, hit himself perfectly, and then crouch peek, was anticipating having to fight someone, was completely correct about it, and Mixwell gave him no tells whatsoever. So sick heads-up play and great play in that after plant situation.
That's why Valde is one of those heavy hitters for the side of Heroic, right? This guy makes waves, and he continues to do it here today. 7-7, round 15. It literally couldn't be closer.
Indeed. And again, just a tattered bye for OpTic. They haven't got the weapons or utility that they want, but these incendiaries might do them a lot of good. However, no strangers to playing rounds out slowly and having to expel this grenade users are Heroic, and they also kill Stanislaw, who's gotten aggressive a couple of times. I think that's a scout, yeah, moving a little bit quickly and out of distance of that AWP from Freeze is Tarek back into the B site. And this isn't actually like a really good lockdown weapon. It's actually moving over towards A, and I really do understand why you feel like you want to just stack where you think they're going to go. But the bomb is postured towards B still.
Freeze takes down another, leaving 3 men standing for OpTic. Again in the last round, Mix never checks the corner. Nikolai with excellent, fantastic positioning finds the second as well. Tarek peeking wide off of the scout, dealing damage, finding a kill. Of course, he needs to commit to this, but he doesn't have the chance. A real zinger knocks him out, and that is it. Heroic do transition back and find themselves the lead.
Yeah, they bring it back, and again, another tight half like this, as tight as it gets. I mean, this is a real barn burner, to say the least.
So without further ado, of course, we will have that second half inbound, but a very quick short break is in first, and we'll see you in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Northern Arena presented by Bell. Feast your eyes on this, the statistics from the first half. Look at these sprees of round.
Yeah, that is really interesting. The fact that none of these rounds kind of went back and forth. It was like as soon as the one team figured out something about the other, they were able to run away with it for at least a little bit. So I think that speaks volumes about both of them. The fact that Heroic were able to win the half numerically, it means something, I think, for their confidence, especially finishing it off strong in general, whereas OpTic, where you could say, ended up kind of blowing a lead, but Valda was pretty much the hero, I think, for them.
Those multi-kills are just so on point.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Those are round-winning moments, potentially, each of those in themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I could just say even like the 3-kill round where they were down 2v3 and he got all 3 of them. Yeah, he has been a monster.
And I mean, on the side of OpTic as well, like there are players putting up numbers. 15 for NAF. We saw him with some crazy plays. Big, solid fragger. Mixwell as well doing the same. But I mean, we do have Rush down here with a bit of a deflated performance so far. Yeah,
Rush is a standout player for OpTic typically. So, I mean, everybody on this team is really strong, and that's what makes the lineup so good. I mean, the same can be said about Heroic as well. But Rush is, I think, even among the best of his team, like right up there, right under Mixwell in terms of average statistics over seasons. So, that's kind of shocking to see. Actually, like 2 kills is quite a bit. I mean, you got to think like, what would the score line be if it were the case that he was up there with 10 as well?
Yeah, exactly right. The other 9 players on the server are at least within that closer realm. So if he is that just one changing piece, I mean, we saw it. It's close, 8-7, right? So
and he was dedicated A on the dedicated A site, but they kept mullying out his spots.
That's very true.
They were really causing him a lot of problems. I think he felt kind of like bullied. You know what I mean? He was just getting targeted every time he would stand there. So just stand single box, get mollied out, have to peek, and deal with connector as well as a ramp or palace. So maybe couldn't get in a good rhythm. Maybe just wasn't hitting shots, or a combination of both of those.
We'll have to sign Heroic up for some seminars before they do decide to go back to Europe. But I mean, again, right, it's quite clear, I think, when we see him trying to change positioning, and every time he did, they were still quelling it. Like, he tried to play that headshot, the triple stack. He tried to then transition closer to the standard plant and catch them as they, were allowed out towards sandwich with that wide swing. He even tried underneath Palace, and it didn't work. He wasn't able to put up numbers, and they just kept taking it so quickly.
Just one of those days where you trip and sprain both ankles.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Nothing goes right. Coffee's too hot.
Yeah.
5 red lights in a row.
Life, isn't it?
Yep.
Isn't it the worst? That's not true. It's fantastic because it's full of Counter-Strike, and that's what we've got back on the table as Heroic look to extend this lead further versus a very close OpTic. Now, a heavy Kevlar on the side of Heroic, 5 sets all across, and we do have a raid boss in the form of Mixwell. Heavy utility for Stan. They could set up a nice play here.
Yeah, there's a lot of options, and it's really Heroic to decide that we need to hit headshots, which is kind of the hallmark of a good pistol round in general, but this smoke, are they going to rush through it? It's going to kind of guise their entrance, I think, and taking down what is probably the strongest player of the round already. Freeze and joining in with looking like nice aim and a couple of headshots.
Now Rush trying to clear out Palace so that Maudie isn't able to become a thorn in their side later on the round, but he does fall back. So now with another frag from Nikolai, we've got ourselves to the 2v2. Snappy dropping the bomb with a headshot of his own, leaving Rush on the side of OpTic to also be blindsided. Maudie's positioning there comes in late in the round, and it just works out. We had said earlier, right, how the OpTic positioning was great to receive the push from Heroic, and this time it's the same set, but for the pistol.
Yeah, right. And so more onus on OpTic. They're going to figure out their positioning as they have to go into a new half with less to say. Heroic taking a lead, and that was the opportunity for OpTic to try to claw themselves back into it, but at the same time, it's more important for the CTs to continually have an economic advantage, as it is very expensive to put together rounds and decent buys, especially on big maps like these. You could have 2 times the utility and still put it all to work.
Pistols only. This is nice and disciplined. Triple D, double P250. Holding on and waiting, and I mean, they're just waiting to see if there's any kind of mid-push, but Heroic, they're not going to take chances here. They don't have to.
Yeah, they really don't. The worst thing they could do is go 1-for-1, give up a gun, or anything of the sort, and it's because of that, OpTic realizing that they are playing this one quite passively. It's going to come down to a couple of angles where the pressure gets put on, and then everybody just lets go of shift and starts trying to trade. Of course, player spotted. Not taking too much damage. Oh, whoa. Okay.
Now finding a zinger as Freeze responds back with his M4 falling off, and Valde picking it up. Takes down the second, looking for number 3 as the T side does become stagnant inside lower mid. Snappy finding an additional frag. I mean, OpTic, you can see them. They're just panicking here. They're not sure where they're going to get pushed from. They just know that the presence is nearby.
And again, don't want to give up anything else. It's just game is not over quite yet. But this round almost certainly is.
I mean, it's essentially, right, once OpTic start losing 2 players, they slow it down and hope that Heroic try to overcommit to cleaning it up, and that does cost them, right? In the sense, Valde, he finds one, goes for the wide peak in an untradeable spot, does give a chance to rush, but then a cleanup from Maudie will secure it. 3 rifles moving forward for Heroic. That's a nice conversion point.
Yeah. Now, OpTic, what do they do here? They be buying up a little bit more. Nafly, who with that 1D, is probably feeling himself, is going to pick it up one more time. It's a hard habit to kick when you get a 1D. It feels too good.
Yeah, it's so crisp.
Worse habits to have, though, I suppose, and a lot of times rounds are won. Because if you hit that first bullet, you usually take no damage, and if you do make it a sequence, you turn into a hero.
Slowly working their way forward through the Palace will be OpTic. Meanwhile, Naf just primed for information towards the B site. Again, he's playing that deagle, right? Trying to find himself the opening headshot, but instead he takes 49 bits of damage. Grenades sailing on over from the terrorists, indicative of the strike. Here it comes as Maudie falls on back. At the very least, find the bomb plant, but they do find death instead. Cleaning it up. Full house over towards the B site. Excellently done.
Yep, absolutely no problem. But they aren't going to take a breath quite yet. Now, OpTic are still up a map, and they're still in this game. So, one more time. A thoroughfare has been made. And we have now a rifle round, rifle round. And this is where it gets really interesting. I'm really curious as to what OpTic will try to do first. If they're going to try to default like they were doing on Cash, a lot of players out towards mid. I think we have one person watching flank. It seems like very passively. I'm not sure if he's going to go for kind of an aggressive lurk, but this boost at mid might be able to catch somebody off guard.
Smoke is currently blocking the angle, and they're struggling to get this. So with Nafly being so close, maybe he catches them out. There are players coming from underpass. That's Tarek. They know he's here. That didn't seem to work, and now it could cost them. Mixwell is thinking about coming through this smoke. Snappy, if only you knew.
Yeah, no, he seems to kind of have a feeling it's just going to be on full alert in the situation. Mixwell, I think, was anticipating maybe someone pushing through and him being in a good position to trade that out. Rush joining the scoreboard here on the 19th round on T side on a rifle round of all rounds. Very important stuff. And Mix, after not seeing any action, is just going to fall off. And Tarek putting in work right now, getting 2 kills at mid. And that is the whole of the side of the map evacuated. The bomb, as you can see, is posturing towards A, and that is exactly the right site they need to go to. OpTic, or excuse me, Heroic, just hoping and praying that they come right into them, anticipating the rotate. But no, that won't be happening.
I mean, if the bomb had gone down while both of them were still towards the site, maybe they called the save right then and there. Instead, we do have the player peeking into apartments. He is dropped by Mixwell, but it is traded at the very least. So the best case scenario here, Valde maybe finds another couple kills and does get himself this M4 for the next, but unable to take down that last licking of damage. Stanislaw prevails.
Yes, the crowd quite pleased. Obviously, winning a rifle round is huge. Staying within this is the only thing that kept them, that is keeping them within 3. If they hadn't won this round, it'd be, you know, a 5-round differential. So big one at that, but it's Heroic to still have a bye and the economic damage and the economic advantage still. One more rifle round for them to see, and I think OpTic are still in danger with of being within 1 of saving. Here's mid control being taken. Classically, the connector molly isn't great, but there isn't going to be anybody pushing through the smoke that is going to try to contest anyways.
Speaking of contesting, Mixwell over here towards the apartments, trying to fire into the site using some nades. Of course, keeping the attention of the player towards the site. Tarek looking for that catwalk peek, but Nikolai's cautious, keeping eyes on both angles. The window smoke, so Freezy's not able to confirm any sort of cat push, but it will be Nikolai making contact first and foremost.
What's going to happen here? I think he's become the linchpin of the round. Tarek might be able to get the drop on him, and yeah, he actually does get that headshot. Has been a really excellent entry fragger in this map so far. Mixwell, who led the charge into B, ends up going down, but for a lot of damage, and Snappy, because of that, isn't able to get that trade on Stanislaw. Site is taken, and it's 4v3.
And these 3 players all inside of the market. Valde keeping his eyes on the window as the man next to him does go down. 2 versus 3 as Maudie finds himself the headshot, but the afterplant positioning for the T side, emphasizing Cat. Stanislaw going to allocate himself to the site itself. And now Maudie pushing out from market, finds the wall bang. That's nice. 2v2. Op still in hand, making for a difficult retake, but he connects the shot down to just Snap, and a wild spray from Valde will be able to find it. Considering they're at the man disadvantage, that was great.
What an incredible retake. You could see Valde actually trying to leave the site before that happened, bumping into Maudie, and it seemed like they were just going to get out of there. But then retaking one of the harder sites in the game to retake with 2 players at a disadvantage is not something you see very often, and with tons of time remaining left on the bomb timer. So, wow, that's an absolutely decisive victory. I mean, oh, sorry, I shouldn't say decisive. It was close, but keeping both players alive in that situation is pretty impressive stuff.
I would say once that retake started, it was decisive.
Yeah. It's like no trades lost whatsoever. Again, mid control being taken because up until that point, the round was all optics. I mean, they really just blew that for themselves. And that was a solid nade.
45 damage off of it as it sails forward. The Molotov as well going to be hindering the push. Instead, OpTic just reeling backwards, holding off and waiting. They do have Stanislaw working close connector, so he's trying to get some info and presence. He spots the shoulder of Valde, taps it away, and that's 2 players tagged here for Heroic, but everyone's still standing.
Wow, it's actually 3 people in B, and OpTic think right here they're going to be able to abuse this site with a maximum of 2 people here. But the reason that Heroic dipped on mid is because they know. I think they had a feeling that it was going to be a B hit. Although I'm not sure what info they have now, but they're actually leaving the site and basically retaking A. No one here, so this R man leading the charge into Palace has to kind of clear everything, which is a time killer. And you got to wonder what has spawned this decision. It ends up being a good one, however.
On the receiving end of the A site, we will have Maudie playing the back of Ticket. Support from Valde inside of Jungle. But the Bomb's getting second ideas here, Launders. They're just changing things up. They're not quite sure what they want to commit to as of yet, but they got to pick it up. The time is dwindling slowly.
I think Stanislaw is going to sacrifice himself to A to cause some rotates, or at least get people to shift slightly, because it's going to be easy to pull two people out of B and freeze. Very careful about that shot, ends up getting it. And I'm not sure if Stan is completely out, but he hasn't made enough presence to pull Freeze off of this angle. And oh my god, Snappy from within it is able to get 2 kills for himself. Will he get a third? What a hold from Snappy.
Oh, and Stanislaw, his flank in through Jungle, it was just waiting to be received, of course, so he doesn't really make much of a presence or impact over towards that A site. And as they push forward towards B, I think that first cap pick really does indicate they're headed this way.
Yeah, you know, there was actually some time, not that much time remaining, but by the time the round ended, Stan had already made it across A site. So, I mean, the fact that he wasn't spotted, I think, actually worked against them, because all he wanted to do, all he had to lose was a Tech 9, and I think they were uncomfortable going B straight up. Ultimately ended up doing what they did in the beginning of the round, and Stan was just not there to do anything with them.
Fast aggression towards Connector, punished accordingly as Maudie and Nikolai take down 2. It's a 3 versus 3. Freeze just going to be chilling in here inside the jungle, waiting, of course, for the cat push, but here comes the bomb plant and the CT presence from the T side. Snappy to swing wide, finds the spray down, leaving it all on the shoulders of Naf. He's blinded as well, positioning may be known, and as they push through Connector, they find him. A nice little recovery there from the side of Heroic.
Yeah, incredible flash, and what is that round without this 2K from Snappy? I mean, that was just fantastic stuff. And 20 bullets, 2 players with AKs, taking them both down, and allowing his team to get 1 away from match point. That is a huge W for sure.
Silver lining for OpTic, they come into this one with a gun round. So if Heroic do find 15, it should at least be with some resistance. Of course, there is still no op in play, and honestly, we haven't seen that on their T side.
Yeah, we haven't actually. That's true. And it seems like they've just picked up the pace as these rounds played on. I think they have decided to get a little bit less patient. Also, made me feel like it's not working out so well, and Maudie abusing and smoke a little bit better than Naf. Getting a kill, and now putting Heroic in a really tight spot. Another one as well, and that shuts down the entire A side of this split.
Now Molotov is going to force the movement from Rush. That puts him back lower into underpass, so he has less of an eye on towards the window. Mixwell nearly finding himself a headshot here towards the B site. Meanwhile, the rest of OpTic still sitting inside of mid. We've got that bomb falling back, but from a 3 versus 5, how do you puncture into either of these sites?
Well, it looks like they do want to take it here. I don't know if he's going to get this kill. Freeze managed to stay alive. I don't know if the repeat is going to come out, but Nikolai from the site, I don't think is an opponent that he expected to be helping out.
Flashbang blinds Tarek, slows it down once again, as does the fire, and another flash. They're just being bottlenecked at this point as the counter-terrorists rotate through. Long flank coming in from Valde confirms they're not in T-spawn, and the bomb now out leaves it all on Rush. You gotta go big as he looks for the headshot, nothing found. This is actually a very one-sided round from Heroic.
Yeah, I mean, this is looking like a map 3 if I've ever seen one. And that's not to say that OpTic lose because of it. They are now 1-1 after what could be the last round. We'll see. We'll see. They still have the opportunity. It would be 7 match points, and I think in this half they've only won 1 T round. So that is kind of a disappointing result for them. I mean, fantastic for Heroic, looking extremely strong, hard to deal with, kind of in the same way that OpTic were in the first half, right? Really difficult to figure out, but at the same time, they managed to surmise some rounds in spite of that. And this is the kind of game you want to look back at the game tape and see what went wrong.
Now, OpTic do have 3 smoke grenades if they want to use that standard smoke take towards the A site, because with no presence elsewhere on the map, they should be able to, they are going to have to go for this. Without any control, then that means, of course, there is this unknowingness as to what lies behind you. So the smokes come forward, and as do the players. Maudie finding an opening kill. That's the 5v4. Still the T's push onwards, and it will be Valde to spray down 2. Looking for a 30, dropping both Mix, and Maudie finds the last. Map 2 goes the way of Heroic, and each team pick up their